As we've experienced already from October 7th till now, close to 2 years of hostages still being held, tragedies that have encompassed this country, unfortunately just too much. Over 2,000 people have already died at the hands of these evil people. We know that this war has taken many casualties, and here we are on the verge of, who knows, some type of quasi-world war or some with Iran that is on the brink of trying to empty out every ballistic missile that they have on their arsenal on this country, which they hold is damned, and they're trying to get rid of it, and that's their whole entire alma mater. Unfortunately, we live in a very scary situations, and sometimes we look for answers. We ask the Gedolim, we go to our Rabbanim, and we try to figure out what's the solution, whether it has to do with all of Klal Yisrael or maybe me on an individual basis. Why did I end up losing this money? What's going on with my child? What is happening? Why can't I have children? Lo aleinu v'lo alechem. These types of issues we go, and many times we look for guidance, we look for advice, and we look for somewhat of input. And of course, our Rabbanim are always the ones to lead us, but sometimes or more than sometimes, we end up hearing a more or less kind of idea. It's time to be chozer b'tshuva. We have to be mitchazek, we have to strengthen ourselves. It's time to fix yourself up, do a little bit of cheshbon nefesh, self-improvement, introspection, and as we've understood as tshuva. It's a true answer, it's a right answer, but I have to be honest with you personally, sometimes I almost get a little bit irritated or misunderstood by that type of advice. It sounds good, I understand, and it's real, but it's almost not realistic. It's just too general for us. Can we really understand? Of course we have to chozer b'tshuva, we always have to, but like what? What am I supposed to do? What is my calling? Why is this happening to me? Why are my tefillot not being answered? Why is this happening to Klal Yisrael? What happened on October 7th? I find it, maybe it's coincidental or not. I have to admit, after September 11th, I did an incredible chazara b'tshuva. I'm going to tell you the reason why. Because October 7th took place a week before Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So right after the incredible thrust of energy and emotion that came through us during that time of September 11th, we said spilled into Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. And yes, I was in tears during that Chag. But at the same time, when October 7th happened, it was an incredible, emotionally draining event also. But I'm sorry, I apologize to say, but I don't think I was chozer b'tshuva, or maybe I didn't do a good job of it. It didn't really happen and make the biggest change in me personally, that I became a different mensch. It's hard for me to say that I did that. Unfortunately, sometimes we localize our tshuva to one day a year, and therefore we have to understand, why do these things happen to us? Is it all about just chozer b'tshuva, just do tshuva and do what you can do? So I want to tell you an important yesod based on an expansion from Rabbi Bujovsky, and that is an important idea which I'm going to expand on and try to make you understand. And this was when I heard this first, I felt it it gave me a tremendous amount of impact on my life, and that's like this. I'm going to take it with a mashal. Have you ever gone out of your house, let's say, on a trip, but I would put it more into the camping scenario, or gone to a place where you're not really sure where you are, or even if you went to some house or Airbnb that you rented out, but when you're there, you're not with sure footing. You understand what I'm saying? You have to go buy something, you have to get some milk, you want to go buy something to eat, and I'm not sure where to go, especially if we're looking for kosher food. The amount of places are limited. I'm not sure where to go. I have to go daven with a minyan. I have to find. I heard there's a shul in town. Where is it? What time are the minyanim? You find yourself in very an unsure area. You're a little bit uncomfortable. You went out of your comfort zone. It's almost a place of insecurity. When I walk the streets and I have to find where I'm going, I'm just not sure where I'm supposed to be going. I'll figure it out. I'll ask people on the way. So to show me, you have a Waze. Chas v'shalom. I didn't mean that someone didn't have Waze, but you're trying to do it and trying to find where you're supposed to get to. I'm in Ramat Beit Shemesh. Very often we have seminaries here, especially towards the end of the seminary year, that they come for a Shabbaton. And I find it a very enthralling sight to see a bunch of girls with about one big page, and it says the address of the house that they're supposed to go to. I'm talking about, it's already Friday night and they're supposed to go to eat at the person's house, and they have this big map and they're turning it sideways and this. I love watching when girls are always trying to look at a map. It's always like, they're not sure which way to hold it up, and they're trying to figure out which direction. I on purpose am taking a Friday night scene because there's no ways to cop us out of the situation. and they're trying to figure it out, and they're so then you're just trying to help them out. Go right, left, and turn over there, and you'll be able to find the straight. Wow, thank you very much. And you see them still asking people on the way and unsure, and trying to figure out how to get there. It's such an interesting scene to be able to see, but it's sometimes difficult. Like, where am I? It's very insecure. I might find myself in the wrong place. What if I lose the address? What if that one piece of paper with the address falls away? I don't even know where to start looking. I'm going to knock at someone's door and ask them if we can have a bite to eat. Like, Matt, where are you going to go? It's a scary situation. You're out of your comfort zone. You don't know where and when and how I'm supposed to get to my house. Which street is the right way into making a wrong turn? One time I was driving with my wife, and we had a Waze, but I have to admit I have a kosher Waze, so it's the amount of energy that's inside of it is not exactly, and it ended up taking me through an Arab village, which was really not exciting. It wanted to give me a nice shortcut. Toda Rabba, I appreciate you, Mr. Waze. It gave me a shortcut straight through an Arab village. Now, this is the scary part. We saw Arabs to our right, to our left, and behind us, and the Waze was at 3%. I panicked. We forgot to bring the thing to plug it in to put up on the battery, and I was starting to drive as quickly as possible before the Waze dies out. I said, if the Waze dies, I don't know where I am. I didn't know my right or my left. I'm familiar with the streets. I was going between Yerushalayim and Beit Shemesh. I'm very familiar, but somehow it took me into this Arab village that I'd never been to before, and all I see is Arab writing everywhere. I see Arab people right and left, and you can understand how pitifully scary that was for me, and if I could say especially for my spouse. It wasn't so easy. And as we saw the tick-tock of the Waze going down and down, pulling me from right, left, around here, roundabout over here, we saw a couple policemen on the way, and we said, okay, maybe worst case scenario, I'll go to the policeman. And then finally it took me this one long curvy street, boom, and I was familiar with the street. Then I got to the main highway, which takes us straight to Beit Shemesh. Bam, the Waze turned off that minute. I said, Todar Bar Kodesh Baruch Hu, Tfilas Derech worked. You see that sometimes when you're just not where you are, it's scary, it's insecure. I don't know what to do. You lose your footing and you just want to be home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. What's so good when you're at home, when you're in your hometown where you are? You feel steadfast, you feel stability, you feel in control. I feel like I know where I am. This is off the books, but if I could just say, maybe people know an old 80s song that went to the extent of, you want to go where people go, people all know your name. You want to go where everybody knows your name. If you're familiar, good. If not, just don't say anything. But Al Kopanim, where does that come from, that type of thing? Who cares that I go where people all know me, people are there? Because you feel a security, you feel a blanket, you feel that I'm at a certain place of in control. I know where I am, how I am, I know where to turn. And in the case of a dire need, I know to call 911 or 100, whatever number it is, in order to be able to get to Chas Shalom if something occurs. I know where the nearest hospital is. You just want that feeling of a blanket of security. I have to tell you, many times when I was younger, even though I didn't care much for sports, but anyways, I always knew that there was always a big advantage, especially during a World Series game or a championship game, to be in your hometown, to play in your home stadium. And I never understood why. Stadiums, it's the same grass, same, they say you're playing against the same team. Who cares what stadium you're in? So simply speaking, Pashup Pshat is because you have your fans that are rooting for you, they're behind you, and giving you a cheer in the background, which helps. But the answer is a lot more than that. I just know my stadium. Every stadium looks the same, but it just has it's a different zach, if you don't mind me saying. It has a different feel to it. I'm much more comfortable at home, and therefore the chances of winning always statistically proves that they win much more. They're able to go ahead and beat the other team, specifically when they're playing in their home place. When you're at home, you're just much more comfortable. We need stability. We need security. We want to feel stable. The scariest thing is when the ground that you're standing on is moving. It's shaking. It's not there. I'm saying this as a boy who grew up in Los Angeles for 18, 19 years and experienced a good number of earthquakes. It's a scary thing, even though you bumped into it a few times. But you're going there things are moving, you're standing on the floor. Where do you go? Okay, you go run under some staircase. You try to figure out a place to run to, go under a table so something doesn't fall on your head. But the floor is moving. That's hamakom. That's the place where I'm standing. My whole security is in the place where I stand steadfast. And when you're not standing steadfast, it's scary. It's pashut. You don't know what's next. When you're in control, you feel you own the world. Everything is there. When you're not in control, it's an incredibly scary phenomenon. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sometimes puts us through these difficult times. He puts us to a certain place because he wants the ground to shake. He wants us to suddenly feel a little bit of insecurity. I know I know naturally we usually think I got it because I got it. It's mine because it's mine. I'm okay. I'm in a good place. When the ground shakes, when you have threats from a country that's the most evil country that's probably existed almost, and is doing, and you don't know ma yeled yom, what's going to be tomorrow, says the Chovot Levava limaser l'gzeroto. Be moser yourself to the gzera of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to understand that I don't understand, to know and rest my head in the hands, in the bosom of my tati, of my mommy, to go ahead, and when that little baby is held in the child, and it's such a endearing sight when you see that baby being held by the parent, and he nestles his head inside of the shoulders of his parent. Not it's like a shmaka feeling. There's nothing, probably one of the most enjoyable feelings that there is, when he just nestles and you give him a nice big hug. That's what we are supposed to be doing when HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us messages like this. Just rest your head in his shoulders and hold on tight and know Abba is in charge. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I know you know what you're doing, and you bring this as a kirvas Elokim. Now listen to this. It's a little bit of a chidush. I told you in the Sefer Eitzat Chatan Cheni, he mentioned this idea, but it's a little bit of a chidush, but it has a certain truth to it. When we go ahead and something goes wrong, and this is very important to listen, there's a tragedy in the city, or there's a tragedy that happens, and we go ahead and say, what should we do about it? We should stop looking at internet. True, 100%. We should work on our shaitels, that they shouldn't be so extravagant. True, 100%. That is definitely something that needs to be done. We have to go ahead and stop speaking Lashon Hara. We have to go ahead and love one another much more. We have to go ahead and start doing chesed. All emes, it's all true. Emet lamito. It's all true. But sort of speak, and listen to this line, it's a little bit of a cop-out. It's like giving a sacrifice. After I did something wrong, I'm giving a korban to Hashem, and it's all good, and life goes on as usual. When sometimes we take on that Kabbalah, which is a great thing, and you should be doing that, we see it as like, okay, what's wrong? I did A happened. What's the problem? B, do C, and you're back to status quo. Go back to A again. Everything's fine, and you do that. That cuts it short a little bit. We cannot leave a war that we've been passing like this, or lo aleinu, a tragedy that happens in a city, by just saying what to be mechazakin. Finito, hala, bonjour. Just finishing up. That's not what we do. You have to move to the next step and build that relationship. Realize this is Hashem shaking the ground. This is an earthquake, Rabbi Isai. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is making us insecure. He's making our blanket that we always feel I'm in control, saying maybe not. Maybe the money you made, maybe it's not from you, maybe it came from somewhere else. All the security that we have today, the person was healthy, and then tomorrow the doctor tells him, I apologize, but guess what? Chas v'shalom. Bar minan. But in all the situations, that security blanket we had was removed. The floor from underneath us was pulled over, and suddenly the trap door opened, and suddenly we realized, oh my, right? Suddenly get into such a situation. Kadosh Baruch Hu does this to shake us up a little bit. He wants us to make us realize that things are not always there, and that's the message that we heard in this week's parsha, in Bahalotcha. Because the whole time there's an incredible amount of unusual psukim speaking about when we were walking in the desert. And it says about the Ananim, it says it would be sometimes for many days, Yamim Rabim, V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et mishmeret Hashem v'lo yiso, v'yesh asher ye'anam Mishkam Yomi Mispar Mishkam. Sometimes it'll be a less amount, sometimes it'll be a more amount of times. Al Pi Hashem Yachanu, they always did whatever Hashem told them. And it continues, the Psukim just goes on and on. Sometimes it will be for a few days, sometimes for a week, sometimes for a month, sometimes for a year. Be'emet, really, what's all the Psukim about? Every word is precious. This is expensive real estate. This is the Torah we're talking about. Going on and speaking with a very detailed and sarcastic and almost exaggerated amount of moves that we did when we were walking in the desert, when we were going in the desert. Sometimes it was a day, sometimes we were there. The longest period, there were 19 years. But even though we were there 19 years, next day we could have moved. We never knew. Says the Ramban, an incredible idea. This is in order to teach us the Gedula of Bnei Israel. The incredible closeness that we had to Hashem, that even though we were completely metultal, moving back and forth, swaying from here to there, very unsure, we had no steady footing. Tomorrow, are we going to have food or not? Tomorrow, will there be water? Tomorrow, are we moving or are we staying here? Can I set up shop? We never knew, but we still said, Al Pi Hashem Yachanu, Al Pi Hashem Yisrael. They did everything that Hashem did, and we did what we said because we knew we were in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As Rav Chaim Shmuel Eved so suddenly said, when a baby goes around with his mother and she goes on all her errands, and we ask the mother, what are the errands she went on? She'll say, I went to the post office, and I went shopping, and I went ahead and visited my friend, and I came home, and when we asked the baby, where were you? He would say, I was with mommy. I was one place. That's where we were, the Midbar. Our head was resting nestled in Abba's bosoms. It was resting nestled on the shoulders of my mother. That's where it was. And therefore there was no fear. Everything was fine. We felt comforted. And that's really what we are going through right now. Feel that comfort. Understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one leading us. And yes, the floor is shaking from underneath us, but it's a bracha. It's not a klala. It's there to tell us that you are not necessarily in control. Who is in control? The Ribbono Shel Olam. He's the one setting the pace. He's the one putting us. Just sit and hold on tight. Shabbat Shalom.